Lord, inspire my words so that my words inspire others. Amen. Good morning. I am honored to be your guest preacher this morning. My name is Eleanor Withers, and I work with Episcopal Relief and Development. I'm also an Episcopalian and a longtime admirer of Episcopal Relief and Development. So speaking on behalf of the organization today is truly my pleasure. I want to talk to you all today about our Old Testament reading from Exodus. This is the story of baby Moses and takes place in Egypt. I took a trip to Egypt in 2018, and I want to describe the country for you all so that you can really imagine what takes place this morning in our reading. Egypt is hot. I toured the Valley of the Kings one day, where a lot of the pharaohs were buried, including the pharaoh who was said to have reigned during Moses' time. On this day, the temperature got to 112 degrees. I remember it distinctly because that was my first time ever experiencing heat of that magnitude. Walking around the desert, I felt like I was going to faint the whole time, and small beads of sweat dripped down my back. I also had the opportunity to do a boat tour of the Nile River, which is known for its crocodiles. One of the Egyptian temples that we visited was actually dedicated to the crocodile god, and I even got to see a mummified crocodile at the museum. So, needless to say, the story from our Old Testament reading today really comes alive for me. When I read about the Levite mother putting baby Moses in the papyrus basket plastered with bitumen and pitch, I can imagine her fear of the heat and imminent danger in the river. I can imagine her wrapping baby Moses in a cloth, praying that the heat isn't too much for him. I can imagine her checking and double checking before she places him in the river, making sure that there are no crocodiles prowling nearby. I can imagine her desperation. But I also have a feeling that she had this all planned out. She knew that the daughter of the Pharaoh would be down the river bathing, and she prayed that the daughter might take pity on her baby and accept him as her own kin. Like all mothers, this Levite woman wanted the very best for her baby son. She wanted him to always be provided for with proper nutrition so that he could grow healthy and strong, a safe home where he could prosper and play, and loving caretakers who wanted the very best for him and could love him as a son. Research shows that the first 1,000 days of a baby's life sets them up for the rest of their life. I feel like the Levite woman instinctively knew this. Luckily, baby Moses found all of these things in his new home in Egypt. In the story, we hear that the mother was invited to be Moses' wet nurse and to take care of him. Moses was well taken care of during his first 1,000 days of life. As we all know, this care set him up to part the Red Sea and lead God's people to refuge as an adult. But can you imagine if Moses had not received proper care? If we had had no Moses? At Episcopal Relief and Development, we work around the globe to empower families and teach them about how important these first 1,000 days of life are. We believe that all children have the potential to be great leaders like Moses, but recognize how sometimes, because of the lack of proper nutrition and other needs, some children are robbed of this potential. Did you know that 155 million children under 5 are stunted in their brain and physical development due to inadequate nutrition and health care? Our goal is to decrease this number. And by working with families around the world and empowering them to be better caretakers, we are making an impact. I've had the opportunity to hear some of these stories of change, and I want to share one of those stories with you today. Paul Ochieng Odong is from Homa Bay County, Kenya. He is the father to a 3-year-old baby who is also named Paul, and has been working with our early childhood development program throughout this past year. He gave a chilling testimony about how the program has changed his life. He said that before working with our program, he was very cold around his children. He felt like household duties were his wife's duty, and he used to become very impatient with her when he was hungry and she would need to breastfeed her son. He even admitted that his children and wife were afraid of him because he would yell so much. Then he began to work with Nancy Atieno, a community volunteer from our Moments That Matter program, and his whole life changed. Nancy used FAMA cards with Paul to start conversations about early childhood development best practices. Basically, FAMA cards are these large cards that have images of common household scenarios on them. And these images are meant to start conversations among families and communities. FAMA stands for Facts, Associations, Meaning, and Action Learning. And I want to share with you the card that made such an impact on Paul. This is a card that shows a father feeding his baby after dinner, and the mother cleaning up the dishes. Paul said that he saw this image and he thought that the man looked so happy bonding with his baby, and that the baby also looked happy and healthy. He also noticed that the mom had time to do dishes and had time to clean the house, and that the house looked like a very safe environment for the baby to play. He described the image as peaceful, and it eventually led him to decide that he wanted this own peacefulness in his own house. So this image started a conversation about what a man's role was in the house. Paul had been taught to stay out of household duties, and even mentioned that men in his village make fun of other men who perform these duties. But Paul and Nancy spoke about how when caregivers work as a team in the household, it creates a healthier environment for everyone, especially babies, because they are given the attention and nourishment that they need. Paul recognized this as good and started helping out more in his own household. Nancy also spoke to him about vaccines, water, sanitation, and nutrition. And as a community volunteer, she visits other families in the area as well. Paul says that Nancy empowered him to step up as a caregiver in his household, and that our program brought light into his household, and he is extremely grateful. The first 1,000 days of a child's life are pivotal in setting a foundation for the rest of their lives. By working with caretakers like Paul and empowering them to implement proper early childhood development techniques in their homes, we can ensure that children receive the care they need, because all children deserve a healthy start, and you never know when that child might grow up to be a world leader like Moses. Amen.